What is up, guys? This is Ryan, aka Wags, with the Brothers Dimm, giving you guys a deck tech video. We've already kind of put out one of these, so hoping to do a lot more deck tech videos as well as gameplay videos, just so you guys can kind of see how the deck works and why we included some stuff, and then you can kind of see it in action. So this is a deck that I've kind of been playing for the last couple of weeks now. I brought it to a local on Wednesday, did pretty well with it, and then afterwards played it a couple more times, and it's just a really strong, really fun deck overall. It's been a couple of cycles since I've dusted off Dr. Aphra, but I'm happy that she's still really good. She's one of my favorite characters to play. So without further ado, kind of jump in and explain why these cards are here and what this deck's looking to do. So we're playing on the Lair of General Grievous. That's a new battlefield that was included in the Grievous starter set. It says when you claim, deal indirect damage to an opponent unless they give you a resource, and then or you can spot General Grievous to deal a damage. So obviously it's really good in a Grievous deck just because you can just deal damage on a hand, super strong, deal damage just claiming, which is super strong. This deck plays pretty slow though, so if I do win the roll-off, and I've had it a couple times where my opponent kind of controls the battlefield towards the end of the game, and I'm taking an indirect each turn, which may or may not be the best thing. I know Salt Flats is something that I definitely want to test. Grievous being a leader, Salt Flats can help you find that 2 focus if you need it, and it also gets you to it acts as like kind of soft mitigation as well. So it's a really good card. But right now on Lair General Grievous, it seems pretty strong with Grievous, especially early in the game. But late game, just be prepared to start kind of taking up indirect. Characters, we have 1 die, Dr. Aphra. So Aphra is a beast at what she does. She just does so much so well. The main thing, or the first thing, she decreases the cost of the first droid you play each round by 1. And that's just bananas. Being able to save all this money because we have every die card in here is a droid. So being able to just save money and playing things for a discount just is bonkers. And getting more stuff on the table. By turn 2 or turn 3, it's not uncommon to have 4 droids on the table. Just because she's so good. Second line of text states that when you deal indirect to yourself, you can draw a card. A lot of these cards do that. A lot of these cards help you deal indirect to yourself. So you're constantly playing with more cards in your hand, which is amazing in Destiny. You get more cards for rerolls. You can find events that you normally or that you didn't start the turn with. So just being able to recycle and just get a bunch of cards in your hand and then kind of do what you want with them. She's just so versatile. Her die is really good as well. 2-for-1 range, 2 indirect, 1 discard, 2 shield, and then a resource and a blank. You're not really, besides the discard, maybe you're not really bummed out with anything of those or any of those rolls. She's just really good at what she does. Now we have a 1 die Sentinel Messenger. Sentinel Messenger is a new card out of the Convergence block. He's got a 2 melee, a 1 focus, a 1 focus, a shield, a resource, and a blank. Getting 8 health. Normally he's 8 points, but Grievous' ability allows you to play droids on your team for 1 less. So that's how we're able to get the blue in here and sneak him in. That 2 melee, if you can roll that, I mean, his damage output, I know it's only 1 spot on one side of the die, but if you can get it, doesn't mess around. His text, you cannot play blue abilities on this character. You might as well just kind of etch that off the card. Doesn't even matter right now. We don't have any blue abilities in our deck, so who cares? After you activate this character, look at the top card of your deck. You may play that card paying its cost. That is insane. It goes with the theme of Aphra, drawing extra cards, starting each hand or each turn with extra cards in your hand because of abilities like this. A couple games he's dug probe off the top and killed their hand. Can find any of the 0-cost mitigation, and I've even played a couple of droids off the top of my deck as well. It's just a really good card. He's really can help you dig and find stuff that you normally don't have. And finally, we have Elite General Grievous 3. Grievous is out of the new Grievous starter set. 1 range, 2 indirect, 2 focus, 1 shield, 1 resource, blank. He's got 9 health. His line of text, when building your team, the point value of each droid is decreased by 1, which is great. That's how we're able to snake in the Sentinel Messenger. And then power action, reroll any number of your droid dice. That is a crazy ability. Sentinel Messenger is a droid, so you can reroll him. Don't forget that, as well as any of these other supports that you may play. He's just so good. It saves cards in your hand, so you don't have to pitch one for a reroll. If you can find a 2 focus, you're guaranteeing damage. It's just a really good ability for this deck, and more often than not, you're maxing out your damage with between that reroll as well as the focus on the messenger and him. You're usually getting max damage with all your dice, which is shortens games. That's what you want. So on to the upgrades. We only have 2 of them. Modular Frame. Modular Frame is a new card out of the starter set. It redeploy. Attached character has +1 health. Discard this upgrade from play if it is not on a droid or on General Grievous. So this is great. It's a 0 cost. It can go on Messenger or Grievous and add health. I usually put it on Grievous just to kind of prolong him and keep him around as long as possible. Late game, his focus side is definitely something that you want because he can just max damage and just burst characters down. So I found that putting a modular frame on him, kind of if you have it in your opener or put it on him right away, it kind of makes people go after Aphra, which is fine. I mean, if you can get Aphra to survive maybe 2 turns or 3 turns, if you can get her to turn 3, you're pretty good shape because you've probably gotten a lot of these down, and you don't need her ability as much. But if they go after Grievous first, this modular frame usually helps. I mean, 9 health, the difference between 9 health and 10 health, potentially even 11 health, is immense. And it redeploys. So even if they do kill Grievous, now you're creating a 9 or 10 health Sentinel Messenger, which is just adding health to your deck is awesome. So I really liked this card. I originally was just something I wanted to test and see if I liked it, but I'm not going to cut it as of right now. It's just too good for what it does and for what it costs. Looking at the supports, we have a bunch of droids. Everybody knows 000 and BT by now. They're just so good. Obviously, these are the #1 priority for you to get down as fast as possible. 000 especially, because he turns indirect that you're doing to yourself and sends it back at your enemies or at your opponent. So Crash Landing and Dangerous Maneuver now become damage-dealing cards, and he's just really good. His die side's no blank. And BT, upon activation, you do an indirect to yourself and an indirect to your opponent. And then if 000 and BT are down, now you're doing 1 to yourself, 2 to your opponent, and it's crazy how quickly that can add up. And even if you get your opponent down to 1 character, it's just forget about it. These guys just close games just by activating, and there's nothing really that your opponent can do about it. So BT and 000 definitely the highlights and the main supports of this deck because of what they do. We have the new Assassin Droids. Assassin Droids are bananas. They are just crazy. A similar thing to BT and 000, except now these guys cost 3. But with Aphra, you can discount it and get these guys on the table a lot faster. After you roll this die into your pool, deal damage to a character. Just boom. Deal damage just from rolling it into your pool. Just paper cut them to death, and it adds up. And that's not even including his die sides. Die sides are a little lackluster, 1, 1, 2, and then a disrupt, 2 blanks. But I mean, if you can get any of those 3 damage, 50% damage sides, not a bad gig. And then if you can focus with Grievous, I mean, these things are insane. The best part about them is they're non-unique. So if you can get 2 down on the table and just doing damage just by rolling in, your opponent's gonna have a bad time because they can't stop it. Moving on, we have Bubble Shield. It's just an Aphra staple at this point. Any type of indirect damage is going to be that you either get or do yourself. Just put it on the shield, and it's great. Again, it adds health to your deck, which is crazy for 1 cost. We have the Hailfire droid. So Hailfire, I'm not too sure about right now. I liked it when I was playing it, but it's not a priority to get down. It's fine at 3 costs with Aphra. But if you have to pay 4, I usually wouldn't play it. You don't have any vehicles. That's one of the main reasons. So you're not dealing indirect every time you play a vehicle. The die sides are good. No blanks is always good. But it's just something that it could be probably something cheaper. But as of right now, I'm just going to keep it just because it's kind of like the powerhouse. If you don't have anything else, it's a good option to get on the table. And the direct sides are definitely something that you need in this deck, or that you don't mind having in this deck, because it can help you finish off characters that your opponent's trying to protect. We have Stab Droids. Stab Droids are from the Grievous starter as well. These are new little guys. Ambush, 1 range, 1 indirect, 3 indirect for 1, 1 discard, blank, blank. They cost 1. So if you don't have any other droid in your hand, you can just throw this down on the board with Aphra for free, and just getting damage. Just any type of damage from this guy is going to be welcome, right? It's a great little 0 cost or 1 cost, depending on if Aphra's alive or not. And then finally, at Tech Team. Tech Team, I initially didn't have it in my first build, but it is insane. Especially if you can get this going turn 1, it just helps with your ramp so much. Throw it on the table, turn 1, Tech Team into one of the 2-cost droids, ideally. With Aphra, it's free, and now you have a resource for either Aphra's pay side or automated defense, or just something that you can even carry over to the next round, and then now you can just get that ramp going even more. So Tech Team is so good. If you can get 1 on the table, you're going to be saving a ton of money, and if you can somehow get 2 on the table, or if you can manage that, now you're just going to go out of control. 2 Tech Teams into an Assassin Droid for free feels pretty good. Yeah, Tech Team's great. So for the events, we have 14 of them. Most of them are 0 cost, so it's another way that this deck saves money and can just get that ramp going out of control. Is we're not really paying anything for our event package. We're just removing dice for free, which is great. And these cards, a lot of these cards are new, and they're just so good at what they do. So we have a Sinister Piece is first. So Sinister Piece is a new villain red 0 cost event. It says discard a card from your hand and remove a die showing a value of 2 or more. I've tested this in a couple other yellow or red villain decks, and it's not as good as I initially thought. But with Aphra, it's really good because not only is she drawing extra cards, so you don't really care about pitching, let's say, like the second Tech Team or something like that, in order to remove a threatening die. But these BT and 000 are uniques, so unless you're going against a deck, that might be running Flames of the Past, but if they want to spend 2 to Flames one of the droids, they can. But you don't really care about throwing away that other extra droid, especially if one's already on the table. So Sinister Piece is a really good card for Aphra decks, because of the draw and because of the unique stuff. So this card has been super strong. And 0 cost is fine. Automated Defense is a new event as well. It's a red neutral. Cost 1. Spotted droid, remove a die. It's very similar to like Pin Down, where Spotted Vehicle from the Awakenings block. Now this is just Spotted droid, and it's always live. Sentinel Messenger is a droid. Do not forget that. So you spot him, remove a die. Spot any of these guys. If Messenger for some reason dies first, you will most likely have more than one of these guys on the table. They're all droids. So Automated Defense, I think it's pretty much a Aphra staple at this point. It's just really strong. We have Crash Landing. So Crash Landing is a classic legacy card. 0 cost removal. Remove a die showing damage and then deal indirect to yourself, equal to the value of that die. So it's good to get rid of the threatening dice, right? If something could kill Aphra, you can get rid of it. Put on Sentinel Messenger, maybe you have a bubble shield down. It's just so versatile. And then if you have 000 on the table, now Crash Landing turns into a damage out of hand card, which is bananas. Similar to that is Dangerous Maneuver. Dangerous Maneuver, heal 2 damage from a character and then deal 2 indirect to yourself. So you have no problem taking damage off Aphra or Grievous and putting it on the Messenger. And then if you have 000 on the table, this also becomes a damage dealing card as well. For 0 cost, you cannot go wrong there. It's so good. We have Forsaken. So Forsaken is a 0 cost villain blue card. It's new from Convergence. Play only if a player has exactly 1 die in their pool, and then remove a die showing a value of 2 or less. So this is insane removal out of hand. It goes for either player. So if either player has 1 die in their pool, it's live. And with our deck, we have Messenger who's 1 die, Aphra's 1 die. All these droids are going to be 1 die. So you can kind of dictate or set yourself up for when you're going to play that card. Just rolling in 1 die and then removing. This card's really good against First Order Stormtroopers. So if you're going against a Phasma deck, pretty much every side on Phasma and her troopers are 2 or less. So it's just kills them if you can get 1 die in. It's really good against them. Next we have Hidden Motive. Hidden Motive is one of my favorite cards in this game. I've loved it since it's been a blue staple. Every single blue deck I make, Hidden Motive goes in first every time. Just re-roll a die, and if you re-rolled it, even if you don't, even if it's not straight removal, you don't mind the soft mitigation of making them re-roll into something less threatening. So that's why I've always loved Hidden Motive. It's always live. It's just so good. And then finally we have Probe. So Probe is an interesting card. When I first built it, I had Probe in there, and then playing it, it kind of felt not as perfect as I wanted it to be. It definitely did get me out of some situations, and so far the only deck that I've lost to with this deck is Leia Lando Mill. And Probe is pretty good against Mill, just to get rid of all those events. So I might keep it, but I also kind of want to try out Sidestep. Sidestep's a yellow event. Exhaust a 2 or a support that costs 2 or less, and then you can take an indirect damage to do the same thing to another support. Seems really good with Aphra, and with all the 2 cost and less supports right now. We've got Hired Muscle that's going to be everywhere once it drops out of the new draft set. It hits the droids in the mirror, it hits pod racers, it hits fickle mercenaries, it even hits tech team, and it binds all things. So anything that those supports are kind of everywhere right now, being at the new set of rotation. So I kind of want to test out Sidestep just to see how it feels. And if I were to do that, I think Probe would be my first cut. But that's just kind of play preference as well. So thanks for watching, guys. This is the deck. It's really fun to play. It's awesome. You guys should try it out for sure. But yeah, I look forward to seeing it out there. It's really fun. It's really strong. Thanks for watching, guys.